Well, it's exactly the unusual product that we bring into the market. In fact, that's an accessory that showing you, in addition to the actual time, a composition of your busy and free time within a day. So this is a calendar on your wrist in a way, which is not instead of a calendar on your phone, but this is an addition to the calendar in your mobile device, which in intuitively perceptive form shows you when you're busy during the day and when you're free.
Welcome to the Invention Stories podcast, where we share stories of inventors who turn their idea into a product. Please visit our website at www.inventionstories.com. And now, from the Invention Stories podcast World Headquarters Studios in Morro Bay, California, is our host, Robert Baer.
Welcome to the Invention Stories podcast, brought to you by the Socket Saver. My name is Robert Baer, and I'm your host. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to episode 30 of the Invention Stories podcast with our guest inventor, Igor Basargin, CEO of the company What Watch, and his invention, the Calendar Watch. This episode is the first of a two-part series. I found the Calendar Watch while searching through Kickstarter in June 2016 and thought it to be special. I contacted What Watch and posted their story on inventionstories.com. They exceeded their campaign goal of 95,000 euros on their way to raising 154,000 euros from 624 backers. We now have Igor on the line from Vienna, Austria. So let's get started. You're the CEO, co-founder, founder, and senior partner of Incor Alliance Law Office, a successful international law firm, entrepreneur and investor, passionate about the watch industry. You got your PhD from the School of International Law in Hague at the International Court of Justice. Is this correct?
Yeah, but my PhD is, I have a Russian PhD, not from The Hague. All the rest is correct.
That's extremely impressive, and I thank you for taking the time for me, because a lot of lawyers that I know are they work 80, 100-hour weeks. So being in charge of What Watch and being a senior partner, you must be a very busy person.
Well, looks like I am, yes.
Okay, well, how did it all start, Igor? Now, I'm calling Vienna, Austria, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you were a kid, were you interested in watches, or were you interested in law? Were you kind of young person, were you?
Well, at a certain, I know it's a pretty much unusual situation probably when a lawyer is also having some other business, but yeah, that was my case. That I founded the law firm right after graduation from the university, and then in 14 years of operation of the law business, I decided why not to go into some other business that would not be connected with any type of consulting at all. And yes, I always loved watches, and I was interested to create some new product and to create a brand that would introduce some unusual product on the market that would represent two worlds of watchmaking, the classic world and a digital, or how it's named now, smartwatch world. So our philosophy is that we take some things from both worlds and we combine them into pretty much unusual functionality, which result in a product that's still a watch as an accessory, but not just a gadget. So in other words, we're not trying with our watches to duplicate functions of smartphone, but we are trying rather to add something to them. But yes, we started this project initially because we were quite passionate about the watchmaking industry, and our idea was to bring something new to that market.
Did you grow up in Russia?
Yes, I did.
And so then you made your way over to The Hague. I'm a little unfamiliar. I'm here in California.
We're pretty far away. No problem. No,
Okay.
actually, I'm Russian myself. We just headquartered with our watch business in Vienna, in Austria. So the management team, the entire management team is here. But originally I'm Russian and I studied in Russia and I got the PhD degree in Russia. And in Hague, I just got some, like additional educational background for legal profession. It was private school of international law.
Okay, so you sound like you're a very successful lawyer, but this is just sort of a passion of yours, huh? You've always enjoyed watches. Did you have a watch when you were a kid that you enjoyed, or?
Yeah, I mean, for sure I had some watches in the childhood, and then while being a student, I was always passionate about the watchmaking industry. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't. I've never treated this as a hobby. So these are two types of businesses that I maintain with, and probably nowadays watch business takes more of my time just because of the activity of that. So because it's an active and ongoing project. Law business, I have partners there, and it's nowadays it's already 17 years old, so and it's stabilized, and yeah, it's more or less just working by itself already with the team that we have there. But yeah, I quite actively work for both businesses.
Okay. Igor, what is the calendar watch?
Well, it's exactly the unusual product that we bring into the market. In fact, that's an accessory that showing you, in addition to the actual time, a composition of your busy and free time within a day. So this is a calendar on your wrist in a way, which is not instead of a calendar on your phone, but this is an addition to the calendar in your mobile device, which in intuitively perceptive form shows you when you're busy during the day and when you're free. So it's an instant reminder, plus it gives you some visual composition of a busy and free time within a day. And it's a beautiful watch as well. So it's not a gadget, it's a classic watch with added mono digital functionality. So we believe that this is the more or less the future of the watchmaking, when people would have watch as an accessory, because we still believe that this is an accessory that should fit your suit, your shoes, and so on. And that would have some additional utility function inside. And this is what we are trying to bring to the market. And calendar watch, we treat it as an accessory with an additional functionality that will help people to stay apart from the crowd, to look a bit more unusual, and to have, an interesting object on the wrist, which is still classical, but also modern at the same time.
Seems like you're definitely bucking the trend. What I see are watches that look more technical, but they've lost the beauty of them, like the Apple Watch and things like that. It seems to me like you're going just the opposite. You've tried to make a beautiful looking watch that also is more functional.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
This is the intention, so that we treat it not as a gadget, but as a watch first of all. And important thing that we are not trying to overcomplicate it with different functionalities that iPhone is having, for example, and we believe that they are better on the iPhone. So we believe that the watch or even the bracelet or the gadget that you're having should add something to this functionality rather than duplicate it. So this is what we're trying to achieve with our product.
And now it's time for a commercial break. The Invention Stories podcast is brought to you by the Socket Saver. Do the plugs fall out of your wall sockets? The Socket Saver is an easy, safe, and effective solution. No repairs necessary, no circuit breakers involved, no electrical knowledge or mechanical skills required. Socket Savers are inexpensive, efficient, and portable. For more information, please visit www.socketsaver.com. And we're back. Now, Igor, does the calendar watch work with all phones, all smartphones?
Well, definitely with most of them. So it's designed for both iOS and Android. It's working through the application that you download for free, either in the Google Play or in the App Store. And it works with all iPhones that are higher or more modern than iPhone 4, so like iPhone 4 and later versions, and for the vast majority of Android phones. And in fact, so the watch is not requiring any other calendar than you are using. So it connects to nearly every digital calendar that your customer, get used to. And it just grabs the data from there and represents it in a so-called pie chart form, showing the busy and the free time. And this is what the watch is about. So it shows you instantly how your next 12 hours look like. So you see, in the intuitively perceptive form, when do you have free time and when you're busy. So and as I said, it gives you a little bit of an indication of how your day looks like, and it also works as an instant reminder for you.
Okay, and I was looking on the Kickstarter page. It looks like you have, and I don't want to mess up their names, Umberto Onza and Masashi Kawamura.
That's our designer and creative, one of the creative guys who came up with the idea for that. So basically speaking, the whole idea and the product is, at the end of the day, a result of a teamwork. So initial idea came from this Japanese guy whose name is Masashi Kawamura, and I think he was featured by some magazine as one of the most creative people, like top 100 creative people in the world. They have a creative agency in Tokyo and New York. And so the initial idea came from him, and then it was just teamwork to design the product and to bring it to the state and to the level on which the product is right now.
So you saw an article with him. Is that what gave you the idea? You decided, hey, this is something that I can make happen? What gave you the idea for it exactly?
No, the idea initially was to create, so it's not like we found this idea. So we created this idea basically. So we started with the fact that when we thought initially about making the watch, we realized that it doesn't make sense just to make another design without any additional value. So, and the brief to creative people and to the designers was that we want to create some watch that would bring some new, interesting, and pretty much untypical functionality to the market, and that will combine the classic watchmaking and the new digital technologies. And this is how it started to develop. So they started to think of it, and they came up with several ideas, and that was one of them.
Is this the first time you've ever tried to create a product?
Well, actually, that's the second concept. And the first concept was called Stop the Time, which we launched in Brooklyn in 2015. We sold out the whole lot, and we're now trying to relaunch it and more or less narrow it down to a traveler's companion watch, if I can say so. So it's a watch for capturing the valuable moments in life and gathering those moments into a sort of a digital diary. And we are now trying to partner with one travel application, which is a sort of a travel diary and a travel blog. And we're going to connect our watch to that software. But technically, that was the first shot. And then Calendar Watch was the second one. And at the end of the year, we're hopefully going to have another concept that's coming to the market.
So you must have learned a lot from the first watch.
Yeah, for sure. That was a learning process because we started from scratch. Moreover, I personally didn't have any experience neither in watchmaking nor in electronics or consumer electronics or even fashion products. So it was an absolute, new learning for us. So, and this is what we started to do yeah, that was just like an educational process for ourselves.
I noticed on your website that you have a number of different colors and styles, like a pocket watch and as well. How was the prototype process?
Well, all the prototypes were already made by the manufacturers. So for us, the main question was to choose the right manufacturer, which will first of all combine two things in one. It should be a manufacturer that has a knowledge in both watchmaking industry and consumer electronic industry. So, for example, they should be ready both to make watch cases, for example, and do watch assembly, which is not an easy thing, as you can imagine. And then at the same time, they should have an experience, for example, with the firmware integration and with writing of the firmware and with testing of electronics and so on. So it requires a certain specific. And there are not so many manufacturers in the world that are able to do that. And so the first challenge is to find such a manufacturer. Then the second challenge is to find a reasonable and decent agreement with him and to make things happen and to make quality on a proper level and so on and so forth. So that's quite a challenging process. And all the prototypes that you make, you finally create with that manufacturer when you already agree on all the manufacturing details for that product. So you should convince and create an interest of the manufacturer as well, and you should agree on all commercial conditions, and then you come to engineering and 3D modeling, and afterwards creating a prototype.
So you're real hands-on with the actual manufacturer. Let me ask you, how did you decide, well, first of all, who manufactures and why did you decide to use that manufacturer?
Well, we have a third-party manufacturer. You can imagine we assemble the watches in China, and that's a Chinese manufacturer. And the choice for that manufacturer was the fact that they deliver a sufficient level of quality, first of all. And secondly, they have a knowledge in both electronic and watchmaking world. This was the most important for us. And it's a family-owned enterprise, which also, so it's not a huge company like Foxconn, for example. So in terms of sizes, we are also more or less matching each other. So I think that was 3 criteria for those decisions.
You've been listening to episode 30 of the Invention Stories podcast, Igor Basargin and the Calendar Watch. I want to thank Igor for being our guest today. This was the first half of a 2-part series. More information about the Calendar Watch can be found at www.whatwatch.com. The Invention Stories podcast has been sponsored by the Socket Saver. Does the plug fall out of your wall socket while vacuuming, drying your hair, using a power tool, or recharging your electronic devices? The Socket Saver is an easy, safe, and effective solution. Please visit www.socketsaver.com. If you're an inventor who would like to be featured on the Invention Stories podcast, have a suggestion on how we can make this podcast better, or would like to become a sponsor, please contact us at inventionstoriespodcast@gmail.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, we invite you to write a positive review for us on iTunes. An easy way to get there is to go to www.inventionstories.com/review. More information and show notes can be found at our website, www.inventionstories.com. Thank you very much for listening today, and please tell a friend.